What's going on, everybody? Hello, happy Tuesday, and welcome to the Astro Room, where we discuss everything astrology. I am your host and your favorite astrologer, Mel of Divine Feminine Works, where I help people unlock their divinity and discover their magic. So if you are new, welcome. And as always, if you are returning, welcome back. So this channel is everything tarot, astrology, spirituality, and manifestation. So if those are the things you like, if those are the things you love, if those are the things you want to learn more about, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell so you'll always be notified when I come out with new content. All right, my love. So welcome to a somewhat special edition of the weekly astro forecast. Clearly, I'm on a different day because if I'm being 100% transparent, this full moon in Virgo damn near took me out. I had a lot of personal healing to do, a lot of rest. And so I'm feeling much better, feeling rejuvenated. And I was like, I cannot leave you guys without a weekly astro forecast. Plus, there's a lot to discuss besides the full moon in Virgo, right? We are starting a whole new cycle of Saturn, with Saturn entering Pisces today. So it's a lot. It's pretty much a big deal. I feel like this week, and so basically, if you've watched my monthly astro forecast, you'll know that I said that March is quite possibly one of the most important months of 2023. And I feel like this particular week, along with 2 weeks from now, are quite possibly two of the most important weeks of the year because we have some serious energy shifts. All right. Like things are really changing up. We're definitely feeling this energy and there is a lot to discuss. So like I said, I didn't want to leave you guys without a weekly astro forecast. All right. So as always, before we get into the nitty gritty, some housekeeping and some announcements. All right. So if you are here with me in the chat, if you're here with me live, thank you so much for tuning in. Please don't forget to say hi on your way in, hit up that chat. And also don't forget to hit that like button on your way in, please. And thank you. And if you are joining me on the replay, thank you as well. Every view counts. I sincerely appreciate it. And also don't forget to hit that like button because these lives, basically, all of my videos are chock full of information that are meant to help you live your best life, all right? Especially with respect to astrology. So don't forget to hit that like button, all right? So let's see, what else do we have here? Let's see who we've got in the chat so far. We've got Philip Boom, we've got Rob Blackstorm, we've got Ramel. What's up, fellas? Thank you so much for tuning into this live, all right? So let's let the good people over on Twitter know that we are live so that they can definitely come and join us over here, all right? So let's see what else we have. Oh, I'm still working my way through the March monthly videos for each sign. It is quite an undertaking, which I'm definitely up to the task, but with the way I've been feeling and the energy shifts, it's taking a little bit longer. However, I will be dropping a couple of videos tomorrow and throughout the rest of the week. So again, hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you'll be notified when those videos drop, okay? And if you are interested in your weekly horoscope, definitely sign up for my text service where I text your weekly horoscope every Monday morning. And you can do that by texting ZODIAC to the number 855-826-5544. All right, that information will be in the description box below. All right. And as always, if you are new to astrology, or even if you're not new to astrology and you need a refresher, I created this thing called the Astrology Basics Cheat Sheet, which basically gives you the quick and dirty on everything you need to know to start studying astrology, mainly the 4 pillars of astrology, which are the planets, the houses, the zodiac signs, and the aspects. It is an 11-page PDF document chock full of information that you can use to start committing to memory. Because guess what? Astrology is definitely a science, and like any science, requires a good deal of study. So if you are interested in getting the cheat sheet, the link to that will also be in the description box below. And speaking of description box below, I actually just finished a series on YouTube entitled How to Read Your Natal Chart. It's a 5-part series that walks you through everything you need to know to start reading your natal chart like a pro. I'll leave the link to that playlist in the description box as well. All right. So now that we've got all of that out of the way, let's really get into it. So like I said, we are at a very important point in time right now. Lots of energy shifts and a full moon. So today is the hot button day of the week because, like I said, that full moon in Virgo plus Saturn going into Pisces. But apart from that, this is actually a week that is full of opportunity. We've got quite a bit of planets making sextiles to each other. And if you do or do not know, sextiles are all about opportunities. So it's like these energy shifts are creating this whole new dynamic for us. And it's really up to us to take advantage of it. Again, a week that's full of opportunity. It's full of healing. It's full of manifestation. It's full of a lot of stuff. Okay. And so I'm sure you're probably feeling it because, like I said, this full moon tried to take me out. Like, it was intense, especially if you've got personal planets in any of the mutable signs. So that would be Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, or Pisces. If any of your personal planets are in those particular signs, you're probably feeling the energy of this full moon a little more intensely than everyone else. All right. And so a lot of opportunity for healing, for manifestation. All right. So without further ado, let's get into the highlights and see what we've got going on for this week. So first, we have what I like to call catharsis and healing, and that is the theme of this full moon in Virgo. So this axis of Virgo and Pisces, right? Because a full moon is when the sun is opposite the moon. We've got the sun in Pisces and the full moon in Virgo. It's all about healing our minds, healing our bodies, healing our spirits. A lot of things are going to be coming up to the surface to finally be cleared out and released, or even if not released, perhaps reorganized and rearranged, just how Virgo likes it. All right. So definitely some interesting energy with that. Then we have body and spirit, and this is the theme of Saturn in Pisces. What's interesting is that Saturn in Pisces really plays into the theme of 2023 generally, because 2023 is a 7 universal year. So it's all about intellect and intuition. However, it's not so much intellect that Saturn is concerned with. It's more so the body. It's more so tangible things. All right. And it's also integrating the practical and the ethereal. All right. So there's a very interesting mix of energy with Saturn and Pisces. And wherever Pisces is in your chart, that's where Saturn is going to be hanging out for the next 3 years. All right. So get comfortable, because a lot of the Saturn issues are going to be going down in the house that is governed by Pisces in your chart. All right. Then finally, we have what I like to call expect the unexpected. Because like I said before, this week is full of opportunity since we've got quite a few sextiles. But a couple of these sextiles are actually going down with Uranus. And so Uranus is all about surprises. It's all about chance encounters. It's all about disruptions and sudden upsets. But thankfully, these are all going to be pretty good upsets because they are sextiles. All right. So there's going to be an opportunity to break out of your routine. There's going to be an opportunity for things happening out of the blue. And there's going to be an opportunity to sort of express your quirky side, especially later on in the week. All right. So without further ado, let's get into the week. Oh, however, there's one thing I wanted to mention before we get into it. So I'm trying something new tonight. I've been guided to pull some cards, especially for Saturn entering Pisces, to pull some cards for the collective. So after I go through the astrological forecast, I'm going to be pulling some cards by sign for this Saturn in Pisces transit. So definitely stick around until the end, because you definitely don't want to miss that. All right. So as always, let's get into the week and see what we've got. So yesterday, on Monday, we had the Sun sextile Uranus. So that's the first Uranus sextile of the week. And we also had Mercury sextile the North Node. So there's an element of destiny, right? I mean, I feel like generally with astrology, there's always an element of destiny, right? Because the cosmos move whether we want them to or not, right? But specifically with the North Node, I feel like there's going to be an emphasis on the resources and the things that we need to move ahead, especially with Mercury sextile the North Node. Then today on Tuesday, we've got that full moon in Virgo plus Saturn moving into Pisces. Big things are going, all right? Then Wednesday, tomorrow, we've got the moon moving into sociable Libra. Thereafter on Friday, we've got the moon moving into Scorpio. Then on Saturday, we've got Mercury sextile Uranus. So that's second Uranus sextile of the week, along with Venus sextile Mars. All right. So I want you to notice that apart from the full moon in Virgo and Saturn and Pisces today, the only other aspects we have for this week are sextiles. Again, which signifies that it is a week full of opportunity if you will only make a little bit of effort. So some work is going to be required on your part. However, I feel like any effort that you put forth with respect to the planetary energies of these aspects, I feel like it's going to yield positive results. All right. So Let's get into it and see what we've got for the week. All right. So yesterday we had Sun sextile Uranus and Mercury sextile the North Node. All right. So you'll notice that both sets of sextiles are in the same sign. So we've got Mercury and the Sun in Pisces, and we've got the North Node and Uranus in Taurus. All right. So you want to take a good look at where this is going down in your natal chart, because this will clue you in as to where these opportunities are going to be taking place and how they're pretty much going to play out in your life. All right. So let's get into it. So what I love about this, right? Sun sextile Uranus, it's like happy-go-lucky energy. It's like pleasant surprises. It's stimulating encounters. It also gives you a boost of self-confidence and self-awareness, okay? It's almost like the way I really categorize this transit is like it really kind of forces you to put yourself out there. And by putting yourself out there, you don't know what could happen, but whatever is going to happen is likely going to be pretty positive. All right. This is letting your authentic self shine and seeing what the universe really brings your way. So there's an element of being authentic. I mean, I think that just across the board, like, especially if you're watching this video, if you're on a spiritual journey, you're not down with the fake shit. You're not trying to be someone that you're not. At least I hope not. Like, this is all about living your authentic self. But I feel like the Sun sextile Uranus is really about putting yourself out there as your unique, quirky, authentic self. And again, seeing what the universe brings back to you, who you may meet, what you may find, what you may gain. Like, you never really know with Uranus. And I feel like in this particular instance, that's really a good thing. It's almost like one of the things that this reminds me of is a manifestation exercise that I had learned about like a year and a half ago. And basically this person was affirming that it's like they're testing the universe for the universe to show them its best, right? When you tell the universe, like, give me the best that you've got, and the universe will surprise you in ways that you can't even imagine. And that kind of reminds me of this particular transit, right? Again, if you will allow your authentic self to shine, if you will put yourself out there, I feel like the universe is going to surprise you in ways that you can't even imagine, all right? Now, this may have you, there's one thing I will say about this week is that if you have to do like serious work, perhaps detail-oriented work, if you have to stick to a rigid routine, you may find that to be a little difficult this week because the presence of Uranus is going to shake things up a bit, right? And because it's a sextile, it allows us to take advantage of opportunities, right? So if you find that, you're doing your day-to-day, you're kind of stuck in your routine, and like, a friend calls you and is like, yo, I got tickets to this thing tomorrow. Why don't you take off work and we go? And you're just like, I don't know. I can't take off work. I feel like the presence of these Uranus sextiles is really going to urge you to go because you never know what you could find or who you could meet, right? So this is kind of taking advantage of opportunities to do something different, okay? And again, with the Sun sextile Uranus is all about shining as your authentic self, right? The next up, we have Mercury sextile the North Node. And I feel like this kind of goes in hand. I feel like it goes hand in hand, energetically speaking, with the Sun sextile Uranus. So Mercury sextile the North Node is like the phrase that comes to mind with this particular transit is a closed mouth doesn't get fed. So if there's something you need, if there's something you need help with, if there's something that you're trying to find, you need to exercise your throat chakra and speak up, okay? There's a strong emphasis on intellect, on intuition, right? So this is a great time to think of a master plan, especially with respect to your soul's mission or your life purpose. But most importantly, talking to people about what you're doing. what you're about, who you are, what your mission is. This is the time to be very vocal, especially if you are currently working in your soul's mission or your life's purpose. Like if your business is centered around your life's purpose, or even if your job is centered around your soul's mission, this is the time to do advertising. This is the time to really let people know what you're doing, how you do it, how you're different from the competition, okay? Because it will get you a lot farther than you may realize, all right? And it may just put you on the right track to get to where you need to go, all right? So it's one of those transits where you definitely need to be vocal, exercise your throat chakra, and talk to people. Be social. Mercury is the planet of socializing. Most people think it's Venus, and Venus is to a certain extent, but Mercury is all about how we communicate with people. And so you can't communicate with people without communicating with people, right? Hopefully that makes sense. So get out there, talk to people, do what you do, talk about what you do, and it'll get you in alignment with where you need to go. All right, let's keep it moving. All right, so today on Tuesday, we've got that full moon in Virgo and we've got Saturn moving into Pisces. All right, so we've got a stellium in Pisces right now because we've got Saturn, Mercury, the Sun, and Neptune. All right, so heavy emphasis on Pisces energy. And with Saturn in there, it's only going to get heavier. All right, so you'll see the Sun is at 16 degrees Pisces. And the moon, well, it's at 17 degrees on the chart because I had to configure it in a certain way. But the full moon in Virgo was also at 17 degrees. All right, so let's talk about the full moon first. So 7:40 a.m. today, Eastern Standard Time, 16 degrees Virgo, 16 is 7. We cannot escape the energy of the number 7 this year, even if we tried. All of the full moons, at least in the first quarter of 2023, all happen at the 16th degree. Okay, so that 7 energy is super potent, and that's intellect and intuition. It's also a search for knowledge. It's also the number of God. There's a very heavy spiritual element and energy to not only 2023 in general, but also this full moon in Virgo. And more so because the sun is still in Pisces. So there is this element and this balance between physical and spiritual. Okay, so everything having to do with Virgo is very practical. It's very down to earth. It's very detail oriented. And it's also very organizational, right? It also has a lot to do with the physical body, with our health. So all of these issues may come up in one way, shape, or form during this full moon in Virgo, okay? Now, full moons also illuminate any imbalances that we may have in our lives. So if you've had your head in the clouds and you haven't been grounded, I feel like the full moon in Virgo is going to call your attention to that and maybe present opportunities to ground yourself, and vice versa. If you're too practical and you haven't been paying attention enough to your spiritual life, I feel like the full moon is also going to illuminate that as well. Full moons are also about culmination. And the interesting thing about culmination with this particular full moon is that, so I look at these things called the Sabian symbols. So basically it gives you an archetype story for each degree of the zodiac. And what's interesting is that the 16th degree of Virgo is a volcanic eruption bringing dust clouds, flowing lava, earth rumblings, okay? This culmination energy that many may be experiencing during this full moon is like a pressure cooker, and it's sort of blowing its top. Things that have been residing under the surface, things that have been in the works for a while, it's almost like the cork of a champagne bottle that just pops off. Like it's this very sudden, very abrupt kind of energy. More so because the moon is actually trine to Uranus, but I'll get to that in a second. So things that have slowly been building steam over a while are going to boil over. So it's this culmination of energy, okay? So some may be feeling this emotionally, some may be feeling this physically, because Virgo definitely governs the physicality of our lives, the physical body and our health, right? So there may be a health issue that finally boils over during this full moon, okay? But most importantly, this culmination, whatever it is, whatever this surprise buildup of energy is going to be very cathartic. I feel like there's going to be a release during this full moon that's going to be extremely healing. because most people don't stress this enough, but Pisces and Virgo, those sister signs, that axis has a lot to do with healing. Virgo is the physical body. Pisces, it's the spiritual body. So there's a lot of release and healing that may, or for some, may not occur during this full moon in Virgo. Okay. So it can be kind of intense. Okay. It can be emotional. It could be physical. I know personally for me, it was physical and emotional. A lot of things were coming up to the surface emotionally, and my physical body I just wasn't feeling well. I was feeling very heavy. I was feeling very, weighed down, and that's kind of how my emotional body was feeling as well. All right. But for more on this full moon in Virgo, I did an excellent video on Sunday with Rob Blackstorm and Monique Ruffin, the Moon Mama. So I'm going to leave the link to that video in the description box below so you guys can check it out because it was amazing. All right. We talked a lot about the full moon, but also some other things. So you'll definitely want to check that out. All right. But in any event, like I said, cathartic, a lot of releasing, Virgo, and it makes so much sense with Virgo, right? Because Virgo is all about perfection. And so if you're really tapped into that Virgo energy, it can be very, when it's perfectionist, it's sort of like, it's kind of people pleasing. It can be very conservative. It could be very repressed, right? Because you just want to be perfect. And that striving for perfection, that quest for perfection can leave a lot of things simmering under the surface, right? Rather than lashing out at someone, you kind of just want to keep the peace to seem agreeable and to seem like, everything is in place, right? That perfectionist energy can be very repressive, okay? And so it's almost like it may be like the straw that broke the camel's back. That may be how the energy feels. And you're just like, fuck this perfection. Fuck trying to make this look a certain way or feel a certain way. That perfectionist bubble may burst. And in doing so, I feel like one of the first things you'll feel is relief. That release will feel very, it'll feel good, it'll feel cathartic, and it'll feel very healing. All right. So that's definitely something to remember. And even though we're having the full moon today, the energy is still pretty much live for like the next 3 days. All right. So if you didn't get a chance to do any of your rituals today, if you didn't get a chance to really focus or do some banishing work, you still have a couple of days to get that done. All right. As far as the astrology of this full moon in Virgo, the moon is trine Uranus. And again, like I mentioned before, there's this undercurrent of Uranus energy this week. So it's expect the unexpected. But thankfully, with this full moon, with the sextiles during the week, this is all relatively good surprises. Okay. So I definitely don't want you to feel like you need to brace yourself. Right? Because a lot of times when we hear expect the unexpected or sudden changes, a lot of times we're conditioned to think that that's a bad thing, that it's going to be like a shit show, right? No, I feel like it's going to be good surprises, pleasant surprises, chance encounters. Like, not for nothing, I literally just got a random ass check in the mail between yesterday and today. And I'm like, oh, look at that. Uranus at work. I mean, it was one of those settlement checks, so it's not the biggest amount of money, but hey, it's money I didn't have the day before, right? So that's the kind of energy that you can expect with Uranus. It could be a windfall of money. It could be meeting your soulmate, or it could just be bumping into an old friend. It could be anything under the sun, right? But I feel like it's definitely going to be a good thing, right? So I feel like whatever is uncovered with this full moon, whether it's shocking news, whether it's, something unexpected or bumping into someone who may trigger you, I feel like ultimately it's for the best. And again, that might be that straw that needs to break the camel's back in order to have that cathartic release. All right. So by and large, you have to let whatever is going to happen. Try not to control, right? Because Virgo energy can also be a little control freakish, right? Wanting to be perfect, wanting everything to go according to plan, wanting things to be routine. And I feel like the presence of Uranus, not only trine the full moon, but just its presence in the astrological forecast this week is like, nah, you may need to scrap some plans, but it's really for the best. It's like a happy detour kind of a thing. All right. Then the moon is also going to be square to Mars. Okay. So it's going to be like A lot of new ideas because Mars is currently still in Gemini. So a lot of new ideas, a lot of things, a lot of things that you want to start, maybe talking to a lot of people. Now, this may feel a little uncomfortable because it's going to be square to the moon in Virgo. So this may be, delays getting started, deviations from your normal routine, people upsetting your normal routine. But again, I feel like it's all for the best, because even if it doesn't feel good in the moment, again, I feel like it's the straw that's going to break the camel's back so that you can have that release. Okay. So anything that happens under this full moon is really good. Whether it feels good in the moment or not, it's actually taking you to where you need to be. It's releasing what no longer serves you, and what may be taking energetic or physical space in your life. This is important because we're in Pisces season. Pisces is wrapping up loose ends. We are so close to the spring equinox. We are so close to Aries season, which is the start of the natural new year. So I feel like this full moon is just clearing out shit that you don't need, energetically, spiritually, and physically. I find that many people have been talking about cleaning their spaces, spring cleaning, even though it's still not spring yet, but it's early, right? Getting rid of things and getting ready for the new year, having the energetic, the physical room to welcome in new things and to start new things. All right. So a very important new moon. Full moon. It's the last full moon of the natural zodiacal year. So make the most of it. Virgo loves clean shit for the most part. I'm not gonna lie, I know some messy ass Virgos. I'm not one of them, but I do know some, right? Virgo loves things to be clean, pristine, minimalist, right? Imagine like the new year finds you and you're healthy physically, you're healthy mentally, you're healthy spiritually. You've got all of this energetic room to start some new shit. So take advantage of this energy and get to work. All right. And speaking of work, that segues into our next transit, which is Saturn into Pisces. All right. So Saturn changes signs every several years. Okay. Saturn enters Pisces now. It'll retrograde back into Aquarius, I believe, a little later on in the year. But then we've really got Saturn in Pisces until 2026. All right. So for the next 3 years, get comfortable with wherever Pisces is in your chart. Let me say Saturn will get comfortable with wherever Pisces is in your chart. All right. And this, I feel like the main theme of this transit is body and spirit. Okay. And if you don't take that into account, I think there will be consequences to that. And again, I feel like this goes hand in hand with the energy of 2023, just in and of itself, because it's a 7-year. 7 is the integration of body and spirit. And I feel like Saturn in Pisces really reinforces that theme. Okay. Now, I kind of like this transit because it's really about whatever you've been dreaming, whatever you've been imagining, whatever you've been manifesting, it actually coming into fruition. This is taking whatever is in the ethers, whatever is in the 4D, and bringing it down to 3D, which is amazing. Because Lord knows, many of us have been really putting in that work, putting in that spiritual work for months, years, and you're like, well, where's my shit? I've been doing all this work. Like, you don't do the work just to get things, right? But you're kind of like, where is this? Like, how much harder do I work? Do I have to do something differently? And I feel like Saturn and Pisces is going to be like, listen, whatever you've been focusing on, whatever you've been dreaming about, here it is. Here it is in the tangible 3D real world form. All right. So that's very exciting. And, it's also about things you've been working hard at. It may not be the manifestation you randomly thought of yesterday. You just like, oh, it would be nice if I had this. I mean, it could be, but things you've really been putting in the work with, things that you've really been diligent about, I feel like they're going to take actual form. They're going to come to fruition, which is great. Okay. But, here's the thing. Saturn energy, it's heavy. It crystallizes things, right? Which in Pisces, I feel like is a good thing. However, It's also the planet of harsh lessons, obstacles, challenges. So wherever Pisces is in your chart, that's where you might experience some of these things. You might experience challenges, delays, things taking longer than they should. Just think about how Saturn in Aquarius was for you, okay? You might have been putting in the work and the results haven't really come to fruition. All right, so wherever Pisces is, you might be feeling that same sort of energy, okay? And I feel like for those who completely bypass this energy, right? Like if you're too focused on the 3D, conversely, if you're too focused on the 5D or the 9D and you're waiting for the aliens to come and save you, there are going to be consequences to that, like real life consequences, okay? You're gonna learn. Fuck around and find out. Like that's exactly what's gonna happen if you don't realize that there's a dual nature to everything. There's a 3D physical nature and there's a spiritual nature, ethereal nature. And it's all about integrating the two. That is going to be the key to success for the next couple of years. So you better get comfortable doing that, especially wherever Pisces is in your chart, okay? For some, this may also bring up a lot of fear, especially if one of the things that just came to mind was, whatever religions or, religious ideologies that really put the fear of God into people, or that fear monger, or that preach based on fear, I feel like that's really going to be enhanced with this particular transit. Okay, so we're going to see a lot more doomsday preaching, a lot more gloom and doom type shit. Like it's going to get real funky out there. All right. So I don't think, if you're watching this video, I'm pretty sure you're not really on that tip, but if you are, just be mindful of that. And like the fear mongering is going to get even worse, which it makes it's going to exacerbate whatever you've already got going on in your subconscious. Okay. This is whatever Saturn in Pisces is, like whatever's in your subconscious is really going to show up in your 3D. Okay. So if you're like fearing the recession, fearing, just like air quality with all of these, train derailments and all of this stuff, if you are constantly watching the news and ingesting all of these fears, those fears are going to become your reality, like hard body. Okay. So it's really important that you maintain a good mental diet. Watch what you are ingesting, who you are listening to, who you are following, because again, this is the perfect transit for them to further their agenda by keeping you in a low vibrational state, especially when it comes to using fear. Okay. So you have to do everything that you can to overcome this, combat it, ignore it, whatever, because again, whatever's going on in your subconscious, that's what's going to manifest in real life. All right. So you definitely have to keep that in mind. All right. And also Saturn is all about hard work, right? Saturn is about diligence. It's great that what we've been working on, what we've been manifesting is going to come to fruition, but it's not going to come to fruition without you putting in the work. Whether it's the spiritual work, whether it's the mental work, or whether it's the physical work, some work is going to have to be done. And what kind of work that is depends on your particular chart, wherever Pisces is. To a certain extent, it's all going to be spiritual because Pisces is a very spiritual sign. But how you sort of maneuver that in your life is going to be determined on where Pisces is in your chart, okay? And the last thing I'll say about Saturn and Pisces is that it is karma. It is karmic retribution, which for better or for worse, right? My definition of karma is just cause and effect. I don't have a moral connotation to it, right? However, if you've been really putting in that work, especially spiritually, then the effects of that are going to show up in your life. Conversely, if you haven't been doing any work, if you haven't been diligent, if you haven't really been, doing the work, essentially, the effect of that is also going to show up in your life. All right. So some of us are about to be rewarded, right? Because here's the thing about Saturn. Saturn is hard. Saturn tests you. But after it tests you, it upgrades you. It gives you a gift. It elevates you. It's like graduation. You move on to the next level, right? So some of us are about to move up, whether spiritually, whether status wise, but some of us are really about to get an upgrade because we've done the work. Others, you're going to have to repeat that grade. You might get left back a little bit, but it's eye-opening, right? You get left back, you realize what you didn't do the first time, so you can do it better the second time, all right? So either way, eye-opening, enlightening, but work. Keyword is work. That work is not in vain. You will definitely be rewarded. All right. So that's today. Let's see what we've got coming up next. All right. So on Wednesday, we've got the moon moving into Libra, and you'll see the moon at the bottom left hand, right hand, left hand. I always get confused sometimes. Right hand portion of the chart. All right. So the full moon is today. Then tomorrow we're going to move the moon. Well, we're not going to move the moon. The moon will move herself into Libra. All right. And so this is going to shift us into a different phase of the moon. Okay. So after the full moon comes the waning gibbous. All right. And this is the phase of the moon where we start to release what we no longer need. When the moon is in the waning phase in Libra, it can be a little difficult because Libra is all about socializing. It's all about friends. That energy of Libra can be a little people pleasing. It's all about people. It's all about other people. But in the waning phase, it's kind of like getting rid of the people that don't serve you, that are not in alignment with where you're trying to go or not in alignment with your highest good. So it can be a little difficult because sometimes it may mean that we have to move away from certain people. We may have to put some people on mute, right? It's not always the case that we have to just cut people out of our lives, but sometimes we need to sort of put some distance between us and other people. And I feel like when the waning moon is in Libra, that's exactly sort of what we're called to do. Because here's the thing. Every single Libra I know, they know a lot of people. Like they know everybody. Everybody knows them, right? And sometimes Libra will tend to keep people around who just serve no purpose. Like, it's good to have friends, but to have a bunch of random people around you is not always the best thing. And I feel like when the waning moon is in Libra, that is definitely something that we are called to do. All right. So it may be time for you to take a look at your circle. Who's in your circle? Where are you trying to go? Especially with Saturn going into Pisces, right? And some of us are getting upgraded. Some of us are really figuring out what we need to do. We're putting in the work. We're being diligent. Like, are the people around you doing the same thing? One of the things and one of the messages that came so clearly with this full moon in Virgo is that a lot of times okay, how do I say this? We attract people and situations into our lives, right? We attract who we are. And yes, that is the case. But also sometimes we attract situations into our lives by the mere proximity that we have to other people, especially people that we can't avoid. Like family, like coworkers. Sometimes they've got their own shit going on, and that sort of orbits into our energy field, right? I always tell people it's like, you've cleaned yourself up. You've taken a bath, you've done your laundry, and you're going to an all white party, right? This is like, as a Virgo, this is like my nightmare. But you go into an all white party and your shit is like cocaine white, right? It looks crisp. And you standing next to someone who's flinging mud, drinking red wine, being reckless with it. And it's like, what are you doing? Like, please. Like, that is literally my nightmare as a Virgo. And by your mere proximity to this person is going to get you dirty, right? After you've done all of this work to clean yourself. So a lot of times we've got to take stock of who we've got around us and where they're vibing at. Again, it's not that you have to completely cut people out of your life, but maybe you need to put them on pause. Maybe you need to put them on mute because you're still working on cleaning yourself up. All right. And I feel like the waning moon in Libra is calling us to do that. All right. So do that work. It's seriously important because, again, you could be attracting the best possible situations and people into your life, right? But sometimes people, like I said, you can't help but be around some of these people, especially if it's people like family, right? You're vibing high and your family or the people that you live with, they're just not. And that energy can get very mixy because, again, you're wearing all white and they're flinging mud and drinking red wine. Like, you really have to be cognizant of those things. So sometimes we can't help who we're physically around, but we can help what we do about it. And I feel like the waning moon in Libra is getting us to do exactly that. All right, let's keep it moving. All right. So then on Friday, we've got the moon in Scorpio. All right. And we all know how the moon in Scorpio gets down, right? You'll see that towards the bottom left-hand portion of the screen, the moon is going to be in Scorpio. And coincidentally, it is going to be conjunct and crossing the south node. And this is seriously important when we're talking about Scorpio energy, because Scorpio energy is all about letting go, especially in the waning phase of the moon. This is about letting go of bad habits, of things that are obstacles to success, right? Scorpio is all about the ugly things. It's kind of about looking at what's rotten, looking at what's not working and getting rid of it, okay? Especially with the fact that it's going to cross the north node. Things that may be mainstays in your life, things that you default to, things that are your comfort zone, you may need to let those go, especially when it comes to things like intimate relationships, when it comes to sex, when it comes to money, when it comes to debt. And when I say money, I mean other people's money. If you have debt issues, if you've got issues with sex, like some of those things may need to be eradicated completely while the waning moon is in Scorpio. Okay. So I want you to notice how this energy of this week is kind of working out, right? We are cleaning up with that full moon in Virgo. Then we are taking a look at who's around us and maybe cleaning up our circle with the moon in Libra. Then we are cleaning up any bad habits, anything that's rotten in our life, anything that's addictive, that's obsessive. We're also cleaning that up with the moon in Scorpio. So this week is going to be all about cleanup. And again, it's not like this is the only week that's about that, but the fact that this is going down in Pisces season, okay, when we need to make room for all the newness that's going to come the spring equinox and Aries season, the cleanup is this week, okay? So I cannot stress that enough. And you know the deal with moon and Scorpio, that's like repressed emotions coming up, things you haven't thought about for a long time. Again, bad habits, all of that stuff is stuff that you need to get rid of when the waning moon is in Scorpio, all right? Super intense, but super helpful. And it's like some things in our lives we need to set fire to, because from those ashes, we can rise like the phoenix, right? And so that's kind of what the waning moon in Scorpio is about. Setting fire to certain things in our life, like decimating certain things in our life, things that we don't need, things that are rotten, things that don't serve us. Because from those ashes, we can rebuild back even better. All right. So serious stuff that we've got going on this week. But I tell you, it's good. It's really good. All right, let's keep it moving. All right, so on Saturday, we've got Mercury sextile Uranus, okay? We got Mercury sextile Uranus and Venus sextile Mars, okay? So this, again, we've got this Uranus sextile, which basically is the theme of this week, right? Then we've got Venus sextile Mars. So you'll see on the chart, we've got concentrated energy in Pisces, we've got concentrated energy in Taurus, and we've got concentrated energy in Mars. Okay, so let's talk about it. Mercury sextile Uranus. All right. This is also very much, it's giving the same sort of energy as Mercury sextile the North Node that we had earlier in the week. This is about a closed mouth not getting fed, right? This is like having stimulated conversations, exciting conversations, perhaps about things you never talked about before or with people that you never talked to before. Okay. Socializing is definitely favored. So over the weekend, you are going to want to talk to people, particularly if you are trying to learn something new or if you are conducting business, okay? This is the weekend to really open your mouth, advertise yourself, advertise what you do, what your mission is, and it will be I feel like the energy that comes back to you is going to be very favorable. I feel like there's going to be opportunities to speak to people that you normally don't. So if you get random invitations, if you get random messages, or someone out of the blue calls you, I feel like those kind of conversations are going to have really important kind of faded things or information that you really need, or surprisingly good information, or maybe good advice that you can use for something else, right? So it's going to be generally favorable, okay? One of the other things I really like about this particular transit is that it heightens your intuition, it heightens psychic ability, it heightens telepathy. So all of those spiritual gifts typically tend to be heightened when you've got a transit like Mercury sextile Uranus. All right, so it's really good. And also, if you just want something like, it's about meeting different people, breaking out of your routine, especially because like socializing is favored. Like this can just be like a breath of fresh air in your social life. So again, if you get a random invitation to go someplace you've never been, talk to people you haven't talked to before, I would definitely take advantage of that. All right. Let's see. Listen to your intuition, because there's going to be lots of flashes of insight, psychic impressions. All of those things are going to be heightened. So it's going to be a nice addition to the weekend, I would say. All right. And then finally, we close out the week with Venus sextile Mars. Okay. And this is a transit that's going to keep that energy of Mercury sextile Uranus going, because socializing is also favored with this. However, this is socializing for like dating purposes, okay, and romance and stuff. And it sort of gives you a really good mix of like sexuality and affection, okay? So although this transit is great for dating and it may be like a quick attraction kind of a thing, I think it'll have you have sort of a balanced experience when it comes to dating or socializing for dating, okay? Um, Again, this is the time for self promotion. I feel like self promotion is not only going to help you in the business sense, but it's also going to help you in the social and romantic sense with Venus sextile Mars. Okay. So if there's anything that you do over the weekend, be social, talk to people, go places, be seen, be heard, listen to other people, engage with people that you normally don't, because again, I feel like it's going to be pretty positive, but it's a sextile, so you have to take advantage of the energy. You can't just sit on your couch and expect your husband to walk through the door if you're not already married, right? You really have to put yourself out there, show your authentic self. Don't be afraid to show your authentic self. And again, I feel like it's going to be one of those weeks, especially it's going to be one of those weekends when I think some really good things can happen out of the blue, okay? Let's see, is there anything else for this particular transit? Creativity is also heightened with Venus in the mix. Okay. So for some, depending on where it's going down in your chart, this may be a really good weekend to get creatively thinking about the things that you plan on doing. So whether it has to do with painting, music, poetry, art of any kind, you may want to spend some time thinking of a master plan, engaging in creative endeavors. Again, you take advantage of the energy, and I feel like you'll have a positive outcome. All right, so that is pretty much the week in and of itself, right? Like, again, lots going on, but again, I feel like it's definitely a week full of opportunity. All right. And so, like I said before, I've been guided to pull some cards for Saturn in Pisces for the sign. So I'm just going to do a quick one card pull for each sign and see what Spirit has to say. All right. And this isn't going to be like Aries rising or anything like that. Aries, like sun, moon, rising, north node, whatever resonates with you, just let it resonate. All right. So as always, we will start with Aries. Okay, so for Aries, we've got the 10 of Wands, all right? And I feel like the first thing I heard obviously was fiery, but like some of you have like, you've had it up to here. Like if this Aries energy resonates with you, like some of you are seriously feeling oppressed. I feel like some of you are really going to pop off. And I feel like you're just really going to, you're really going to have this feeling of wanting to free yourself this week from the confines of other people, from the confines of relationships. I feel like, you're definitely going to want, you guys have been feeling the heat. And I feel like it's going to be a time of wanting to be free, of breaking free, and doing that by any means necessary, whether it's cutting someone off. Some of you, please be careful, because I'm also hearing that some of you may be doing this in a very physical way. So try not to get too physical with people. But there's this element of breaking free this week, okay? And I'm just here, like, at first I was like, oh, let me pull these cards for Saturn and Pisces. But I feel like this is just going to be the general energy for the week. So I don't know. Take it as it resonates. All right. So that was Aries. Let's move on to Taurus. All right, Taurus, we've got 8 of Wands. All right. So you guys have some really swift moving energy coming in. Some of you, it's like, you see how she's like throwing this javelin? Like that's what you guys are doing. Some of you guys have a serious goal that you are putting all of your energy into right now. Like, it's like you're putting your whole spirit into it right now. And I feel like doing that is going to yield very quick results, but maybe not lasting results. Okay. So you're going to have to keep the fire going. You're going to have to keep the momentum going, because I feel like you're going to reach the beginning part of that goal very quickly, but you're going to need to keep the momentum going to see that goal all the way through. But I definitely see you guys putting in a lot of work, putting all of your energy into something. And I think you're definitely going to hit that target. All right. So now we are up to Gemini. Let's see what we have for Gemini. Ooh, okay. We've got the Empress for Gemini. All right, Gemini. So some of you are feeling really fruitful right now, fruitful and abundant. Some of you are about to give birth either physically or give birth to something that you've been working really hard on. Okay. I feel like this is definitely for you, Gemini. This definitely speaks to Saturn and Pisces. Y'all have let something gestate for quite a while. And I feel like Saturn and Pisces is birthing season. Okay. So keep in mind, Saturn is going to be in Pisces for the next 3 years. So you may not be giving birth right now, but I feel like birthing is imminent. All right. Some of you may be getting pregnant while Saturn is in Pisces, but either way, you're feeling fruitful and you're about to drop something that you are really going to be happy about. All right. All right. So that was Gemini. Let's move on to Cancer. What do we have for Cancer? We've got the Magician. All right, Cancer. So for you, Spirit is like, you guys have not been believing in yourself enough when it comes to manifesting. Y'all have been doing the work, but you haven't really been feeling it. You're like, yeah, I know I should have this, or yeah, I want this, but there's a part of you that doesn't really believe it. And Spirit is like, are you kidding me? Like, as emotional and as spiritual as you guys can be, you haven't put enough spiritual oomph into whatever you're trying to manifest. So this week, Spirit is like, to really capitalize on your magician energy, you need to tap into Spirit more. Stop relying on the 3D to show you what you have or what you need to do. Rely on that super potent intuition that you guys naturally have. And that is going to help you either speed up your manifestation or bring your manifestation into fruition. All right. So that was Cancer. So now we are up to Leo. Let's see what we got for Leo. All right, we've got Judgment. All right, Leo. So some of you are heeding the call of Spirit right now. And I hear like some of you have really stepped into your Leo energy, and not the like attention seeking, look at me, Leo energy, that leadership energy. So some of you have heard the call of Spirit and you're like, all right, it's time for me to lead. And I feel I'm seeing you guys like sort of dropping everything and moving in the direction of your purpose or of some sort of leadership position. And Spirit is saying to keep going. And use your intuition as your guide, because I feel like some of you, you're heeding the call of Spirit now, but I feel like at some point you may teeter, right? And you may be like, well, I don't know, maybe I don't see enough, like people aren't like giving me enough validation for this decision that I made. And so you're going to be like, yeah, I don't know. And Spirit is like, fuck what everyone has to say. Listen to us and keep going. All right. So follow Follow the call of spirit and move into that leadership position that you were born to be in. Like, come on, Leo, you know better than that. All right. Next up, we've got Virgo. Let's see what we have for Virgo right now. Oh, you guys also have the Magician. All right, Virgo. So I'm hearing like kitchen witch or like some sort of practical witchery. Okay. So, Virgo, some of you need to get into your ritual bag. Okay. Like, you guys are one of the most ritualistic signs. And rituals are just another way of manifestation. And so some of you really need to get into your rituals, your candle magic, your spell work at this time, and really manifest the shit out of some things. All right. Because you guys have this energy is naturally coming to you. Okay. And I feel like for some of you, this may be highlighted at this full moon right now. Your ability to manifest, I feel like you're going to be remembering who you are and remembering that you are a master manifester. So get back into your rituals. Some of you used to really do a lot of ritualistic work. And for some reason, like, I feel like over time, you've kind of let that slide. Like, you haven't been doing it as much, or you've been focusing a lot on other things. And spirit is like, no. Get back to what you were doing, because that's exactly where you need to be right now to get the things that you want. All right. So Virgo, get into your rituals. All right. All right. I see the chat going crazy. Thank you guys so much for all of this engagement. Like, I really love it. JS, no, it is not rising. It is sun, moon, rising, whatever resonates with you. Okay. Having heavy Leo placement. Heavy is the crown for Leo. Yes, but you guys are built to wear it. So wear it. All right. So now we're up to Libra. Let's see what we have for Libra. All right, Libra, we've got Ace of Pentacles. All right, so we've got opportunities coming your way, monetary opportunities, right? Sort of out of the blue. I feel like this week with these Uranus sextiles, you guys are going to really benefit from some financial assistance. I see a handout coming to you guys. There's going to be money coming your way, perhaps surprisingly, all right, perhaps unexpectedly, like right when you need it. I feel like some of you have been, I'm hearing like going through the weeds. Like some of you have been trying to do things and it's almost like you can't see where you're going. You can't see in front of you. Things have been cloudy. Things have been a little unclear. And I feel like there's going to be some clarity and some assistance that comes into you this week. Okay. Yeah, I feel like good things are coming your way this week. So hold tight. Some of you, I feel your energy feels very heavy. Some of you feel like hopeless. Some of you feel like things are unduly difficult. And spirit is like, just hold on a little longer. I've got some assistance coming your way. And perhaps from a source that you would have never thought would be helping you out. All right. So keep your eyes open for that. All right, so next up, we've got Scorpio. Let's see what we've got for Scorpio. All right, Scorpio, we've got the moon. Yeah, some of you are really in your element this week, okay? Like still waters run deep. And some of you are getting so deep this week and you guys are loving it. Some of you are getting down to the bottom of something, like when it comes to someone else's emotions, someone you may be dealing with or someone that you're interacting with, I feel like some of you are going to be playing like super sleuth this week and really getting to the bottom of how someone feels about you or how someone feels about the situation and why they feel the way that they feel. Like you guys are going to be so, like, I'm getting this feeling of happiness. Like you're going to be so happy that you finally understand this situation. Maybe a situation that has been highly like emotionally charged or a situation that's been kind of unclear, but you guys are going to get to the very bottom of why this person feels the way that they feel, why they're acting the way that they're acting. So some of you are going to uncover something extremely emotional. And I feel like you're really going to like it because it's going to allow you to be your natural Scorpio self. And uncovering things is one of your kinks, right? So I feel like you guys are going to be feeling good about that. All right. So next up, we've got Sag. Let's see what we've got for Sag. All right. Okay. We've got the God of Swords. So some of you are, I want to say you're kind of like turning into this King of Swords energy, or this King of Swords energy is going to be very prominent in like sort of with your energy this week. A lot of you are not going to be your natural spontaneous selves. I feel like some of you are tempering that fire and you're thinking before you leap. See, a lot of you really thinking and ruminating over something before making a change. Like for the first time in a while, some of you are going to think before you speak. Like rather than just mouth off whatever you're feeling or being exceptionally blunt, I feel like some of you are really going to be thinking about it. And I feel like it's because whoever you're talking to or interacting with, I feel like you really care about them and you actually value their feelings. You don't want to hurt their feelings, or you value your relationship. So I see you thinking about things before you leaping. Some of you are making a very big decision with a relationship. It might be marriage, proposal, having a child, starting. Some of you are really thinking about taking that leap with someone, and you're not doing it from your normal sad self. You're actually thinking and meditating on it, really thinking about it before you do it. So good luck to you, because I feel like you're about to take a really big step in life, and I feel like you're handling it in a very appropriate, Spirit is saying mature. Some of y'all are really maturing when it comes to this particular situation, and Spirit is very proud of you for that. All right, next up, we've got Capricorn. Let's see what we've got for Capricorn. All right, Capricorn, we've got the Eight of Cups. So y'all are walking away from something and has to do with money. There is something that does not tickle your fancy. There is an offer that is just not enough money. It doesn't, whatever this is, you're walking away from it because it doesn't make logical sense for you to engage in this thing, because it's not going to, it doesn't make logical sense or actual sense. Okay. Yeah, you guys are just like, this is beneath me. I don't know why you even offered this to me, or why you presented this to me, because it is really not enough money. Like, I am worth so much more than this. For some of you, it's not actual money. It's like self-worth or self-esteem. And I like this for you because you realize your worth, whether it's in dollars or your worth as a person. And you're just like, yeah, this isn't enough for me. And so no, thank you. But I also see some of you like ghosting someone. So I don't see you actually telling this person like no. I see you just like ignoring them or walking away or just not saying anything. All right. And whatever works for you works for you. But the fact that you know your worth and you're not willing to settle for anything less is a big deal for you, Cap. So congratulations on that. All right. And next up, we've got Aquarius. Let's see what we've got for Aquarius. All right, we've got Seven of Pentacles. You guys are in a very nice space right now because you are stopping and smelling the roses. Like, you've worked at something for a while and you're in this like energy of appreciation and gratitude. You're just like, yes, I did this. I made this. This whole tree with these pentacles, I put that together. With my bare hands, I planted it. I took care of it. And you're really in a space of gratitude. And guess what? By being in a space of gratitude, you're going to have more things to be grateful for. So there's more abundance coming your way. There's more of what you've been putting out. I feel like there's a direct correlation for you this week of the energy that you put out, you are getting back. All right. So enjoy it. Be appreciative of where you're at, be grateful for where you're at, and watch that. I'm hearing like compound interest. So the effort that you've put out, you're actually going to get more in return over time. Okay. So you're in a really good spot, Aquarius. So enjoy it. All right. Then finally, we've got Pisces. Let's see what we have for Pisces. All right, Pisces, we've got the Sun of Swords. So this is the Knight of Swords. All right, Pisces, there is something that you need to get off your chest, okay? And I feel like this full moon in Virgo is going to have you wanting to almost like pop off on somebody. Like, some of y'all have been really either avoidant in a situation, like you've escaped the situation, you haven't addressed it. And you've been doing this for so long that finally you reach the breaking point. And I feel like you're really just going to let someone have it. Like, you're going to give someone a tongue lashing like no other, and not the good kind of tongue lashing. Okay. Like, I see some of you really arguing with someone. Really, like, some of you are going to over exercise your throat chakra this week. Okay. And I feel like it's necessary, but also be cognizant of what the effect of that is going to be. No one is saying that you need to not say anything at all, but maybe you need to temper what and how you are saying it. Okay. But either way, I feel like there's going to be a lot of speaking. There's going to be a lot of giving people your 2 cents, of speaking your piece. And I feel like that's a good thing because, again, if you've repressed all of this energy, it definitely needs a release. And I feel like the full moon in Virgo is going to do that for you. However, just be mindful of the consequences because there's consequences to everything. Okay. All right, my love. So that has been this edition of the weekly forecast. And let me know how you feel about these tarot pulls. Because I'm feeling like I'm going forward. I might do this regularly or I might do it every so often. But I think it's something new that I'm going to implement into these lives. So let me know either in the chat or in the comments below what you think and if you enjoyed it. All right. But in any event, happy full moon in Virgo. I hope that this full moon is treating you well. I wish you guys nothing but the absolute best for this coming week. And I will see you guys in my next live or my next video. All right. Love you guys so much. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I'll see you next time. All right. Take care.